Welcome to the Retro Blood.
You are all my children now.
You want to know what happens to an eyeball when it gets splintered? You got any idea how much blood jets out of a guy's neck?
You've come back to us, Michael. Seekers, stop the rage.
Not so fast, brown boy. We're gonna have some laughs.
Is the dead the appearance of life?
Oh, it is not the appearance of life, it is life. This is not magic. As you say, I am a scientist.
We'll tear your soul apart. Get me back my head. Get me back my head!
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to the Retro Blood as we enter a new year and a new month, 2024, and we're starting this one off funny, supposedly, because the Retro Blood is talking all about horror comedy for this month of January 2024. Starting us off, if y'all like sorcerers who are like Mr. Freeze from Batman, I'll explain that one later. If you all like kids who are like not really kids, and they're like they have like bad acting, but the acting was so bad that it was actually great. If you all like demons and slimy creatures, then brother, this is the review for you, because the Retro Blood is starting off this new year talking all about Spookies. Alison, James Kline, what's happening, Alison? How have you been spookies this evening?
Oh, dude, I was totally spookied by this thing. The weird thing is I can't decide if it's supposed to be funny or not.
Well, yeah, see, me too. So originally, when we were picking out some movies for horror comedy month,
yeah.
When I was looking up this particular movie, I swear somewhere it said it was a comedy, but then I look back on it and it's like, it's not like necessarily a comedy, but it's so goofy that it is a comedy. It's like one of those, it's kind of like the original, like, Evil Dead or something like that. It's like, it wasn't supposed to be funny, but it is funny. You know
I mean, there's a world of difference between this and the original.
Well,
Evil Dead,
duh.
but it's weird. It's weird how we think the same on so many things. Because I was thinking exactly the same thing about Mr. Freeze. I'm like, and it's like, oh, the villain's Mr. Freeze.
Okay, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one then, because I was like, okay, why is this guy acting like Mr. First of all, he kind of sounds like him, which is weird. Okay, then he has the whole bride and like, I mean, they had a different, relationship. Okay, but it's still like it was like the same shit. Like I was like, what is going on here? So
yeah, and he's kind of got her frozen a little bit, and he's trying to keep her alive or whatever, or bring her back to life or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. I was just like, yeah, this is an interesting one, that's for sure. So, but this month we talked a little bit about this last year, or like a week ago, and we were like, this is like not necessarily our thing, like horror comedy, but there's going to be some fun elements out of this month, so it should be pretty fun. This first one, obviously, like we were saying, like it's not necessarily a, hey, actually, I can kind of debate that though, because the dude who was just drinking beer the whole time, I mean, come on, like I think he was written for laughs, even though he wasn't funny.
Well, yeah, I think that he was supposed to be the comedy relief. Yes.
Yeah. So So I mean, so it kind of goes with the category. So.
Well, yeah. But I mean, some of it's so ridiculous. Like the girl that smokes constantly. Like smoking is like a part of her personality. She smokes so much.
Well, yeah, man, it's the 80s.
And it's just like, is it? Well, right, it is the 80s. But like, is that supposed to be funny because it's exaggerated, or like, I don't know. Like she just smokes constantly through this entire movie.
Well, would you rather have her do, Alison, do cocaine?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot better too. But anyway, we'll start off this month pretty good though. So, but yeah, this one was very interesting. Like before we get into the full review and the history segment, like this one is like 50-50 with me. It 50% sucked ass, and it 50% was okay. It was just weird. It's a really weird film. So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah. So. But let's get into the history segment to begin this brand new year. And boy, what a year it's going to be for the Retro Blood. We got a lot of shit planned, everybody, for y'all out here. Take a little
It's only going to go up from here.
Yeah. And by the way, like, I know we're not doing the beer talk right now, but I had to have one talk about this movie. And I actually been trying your Nuts and Vault that you talked about.
Oh, yeah? What do you think of that?
It's pretty good. Like, it's just kind of weird. It's like a coffee porter, but then they like randomly have like coconut in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's a good, I think it's a good holiday beer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Even though it's just like a December, January, February one.
Yeah, I tried to find the New England one, the holiday cheer, because I was really, really impressed with that beer. And I thought I saw it at the Target. And so I went back in there and that shit was gone. And then I checked like literally 2 other stores to just see if I could find it around here. And it was gone. I was like, fuck. So that's definitely going to be on my bucket list to get next year is the New England holiday cheer. So, but maybe what we'll do is, I think people liked our beer talk. So we'll probably add that in a couple episodes here and there what we're drinking on. We'll talk about some summer beers, stuff like that. So, because we're mostly drinking on the podcast anyway, so my fuck is done. I might as well talk about it
on the podcast. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm drinking the rest of my leftover cranberry mead that I got for Christmas.
Yeah, Betty, cranberry in it all up
locally. Yep.
So let's get into the history segment because we did say last week that we would talk about the history of the Brass Knuckles Championship, which I cannot wait to talk about.
Did. We did.
So, but before we get into that, so this movie had a couple different release dates. There was one in France, one in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what people in Hong Kong would think about Spookies. God,
yeah, like
what the fuck?
Do they think this is what a normal American movie is like?
Bro, if there's anybody that listens to this from Hong Kong, please message to retroblood69@gmail and let me know what you would think about Spookies. I just imagine this is what American culture is like. So, but it premiered on January 22, 1988.
Yes.
So we're in the same month that we're reviewing this one, so that's pretty fun. But so the first one we're going to talk about is the Brass Knuckles Championship because me and Alison last week on our Bloody New Year episode, we were just so amazed by the Brass Knuckles Championship that was defended around the world-class territory. Okay, and then we were thinking what is this championship? Is it like some belt that you won at the bar or something? You know what I mean? Did you just go out to the local fucking stable and just fight somebody with brass knuckles and then win a belt? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's not far off from that, but yes, it's a little different.
Yes, but I did not realize when I was doing my research here that this belt was one of the most original belts that came out, very old. This one has a long lineage. Okay, this belt dates back to the 1950s. Okay, it might even been a little bit earlier than that. Let me see. I got 1950 on here, but it's around 1953. It was created in 1953 in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, that's the one I found was that it was the WCWA Brass Knuckles Championship was in Dallas and made in 1953.
Yeah,
with Bull Curry being the first champion.
Yeah, supposedly. Because if you look at this lineage, it's pretty crazy. So check this out. So the Brass Knuckles Championship was created for the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. And the belt was pretty much created to be around, the Texas region. You know what I mean? The South region, Southwest, I should say. So the belt was kind of created for this, but it was part of the NWA body. So it was an NWA sponsored belt, but they mostly defended it around Texas and different places. That's why A lot of like Midwestern championship. They got to get the belts, and then that's why World Class kind of inherited, because they were obviously the Texas promotion. And it's really weird. Like, so like they don't have like, since it was so, like I say, it was created March 6, 1953. All right, and the first person who won the belt, okay, was his name Bull Curry. And this guy held the belt like this guy. You would think he was like the hardcore champion. Remember when they had the hardcore champion, the 24/7 rule? People were just winning it like left and right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This guy won it like fucking 10 times. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then some of the time,
I have 24, but 20, yeah.
Oh shit! So you actually counted it. I was like, damn.
Yeah, like my research showed that he won it 24 times.
So he must have been a bad motherfucker though for the Brass Knuckles Championship, brother. You know what I mean?
Bull Curry. I did research a little bit on Bull Curry because I know who he was. He was born in 1913. He died in 1985. He's thought of as the originator of hardcore wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like he is. Yeah, because his matches were a little bit more of a like a little more of a fight style, like that little like brawler style. And so like that's why. Yeah, so that makes sense. Why he'd be the Brass Knuckles champion. But that was something pretty interesting about him, because his matches were a little bit more violent than people's. Because for everybody who's not familiar with like 50s wrestling and stuff, and I'm not like an expert on 50s wrestling, but I have seen some in the past. So that wrestling is more mat based. Like they do more. It's kind of like a Zack Sabre Jr. style, where they do like more holds, more leg locks, work over a style. So it was very different if somebody did a lot more like punching and kicking at this particular time frame. So. But,
yeah, it was supposed to look more like mat wrestling, yes.
Yes. So I like it. I just want to talk about this quick. So around April 8th, 1954, they think Don Evans won the belt, but it's not clear who he defeated to win it. All right. So I was like, okay. And then there's also there was another time where this guy named Rita Romero, he won it in Houston show, but he's not. But they're not. They don't know who he beat either for the title. So it's just like, oh, he just won. Because this is a records back in the 50s, so you can't keep up everything, especially how wrestling was.
Right. Yeah.
So there was.
Yeah, because it says.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, because it's unrecorded from October 1953 to April of 1954, so they're not really sure. So basically, the guy that held it before Don Evans officially was this guy named Danny Savage.
Yeah.
And so Don Evans could have beat Danny Savage, but maybe didn't. Yeah, and then when Romero got it, they didn't really know who he beat, if he beat Don Evans to get it, or if they just took it off Don Evans and gave it to him, or who knows.
Yeah, and it's also crazy, too, when we come to the 1957 year, that for this belt, Pepper Gomez won the champion, but it was uncertain who he beat in the tournament that they held up for the belt, and they're not sure if Gomez was a champion coming in or not. And the same thing actually happened again in 1958, where Casey McStain was in the tournament final after the first match on January 2nd, ends in a double disqualification. So it's a pretty interesting belt. Yeah. So basically the belt really didn't start going into WCCW until like Fritz von Erich kind of like brought it into that territory. And then when he started running the ship, he just incorporated the belt with his show, the World Class show. But yeah, this thing goes back, like it started to 1956, and it didn't really end until later years in the 80s. I think it was like about 1987 when the belt went defunct it went defunct in the World Class territory. Now they did bring it back in some other territories. I'll talk about it really quick, but something I did want to bring up too, so the belt, like I said, it was a NWA championship belt. And of course, NWA was like the body who governed all these little small territories. So a lot of the times you would have your world champion would be a traveling champion, because he would go out and face all the top contenders from these smaller territories. And it wasn't just him, but we also have designed belts that would be in these particular territories too. And it just so happens that the Brass Knuckles Championship was one of them. Okay. Now, there was a little bit of controversy because if you remember that I believe it was around 1986, I believe, the belt, the WCW, world class, left the NWA. Okay. Yeah. And they still had the Brass Knuckles belts there. At the time, it was on Abdullah the Butcher. Okay. And so because World Class, they left in February 1986, and apparently Abdullah was the champion there, and in August of that 1987, he got defeated by Tony Atlas, okay, but it was weird because so last week when I was going over those rankings, that's how we came up with this. They had the top 5 rankings for Tony Atlas's Brass Knuckles belt. You know what I mean? Right. Do you know, like, pretty much right after that episode, they kind of just like dropped it. Like, they didn't even bring up like Tony Atlas being the Brass Knuckles champion, who's going to defend it to. He didn't even bring out the belt to the ring or nothing. They just kind of did. They pretty much just dropped the belt. So Tony Atlas technically was the last of the world of the WCCW's Brass Knuckles champion was Tony Atlas, the Black Superman himself.
Yeah, that's what I have, was that it was deactivated essentially after he won it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was really never mentioned again.
Yeah, but it's just a really interesting, like, concept of belt. Like, the matches were basically, they're supposed to be a little bit more hard hitting for the Brass, because they were probably creating at the beginning. They were probably creating this belt because of the tough man. You know what I mean? Because they were getting a little bit more tough guys. Yeah, kind of like more fighters, more brawlers in the pro wrestling. Pro wrestling for a long time was all about the grappling. Kind of like the Romans. They did a lot of grappling, a lot of submission holds, stuff like that. But then later on, you're incorporating different styles and stuff. And one of the big styles is brawling and grappling. So they kind of noticed that trend was happening, so that's why they probably introduced like this Brass Knuckles belt, because Brass Knuckles is supposed to be some tough guy. When you think Brass Knuckles, you're thinking like these guys are fighting with brass knuckles on their hands, and apparently they did that for a while. Okay, so like early on, it was actually like you would actually fight with brass knuckles on your fists and stuff, and then later on they kind of just changed it to like no disqualification and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, because that makes more sense. Because I don't care how tough you are.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get punched with brass knuckles, you're going to go down.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be a fight between two guys with brass knuckles. Like, whoever gets punched in the face first is going to lose.
Yeah. A couple of things. So the belt did actually make a comeback after the 80s. Okay. It was actually in NWA Southwest for a while, from 1988 to 1999. Then it transferred to NWA Texas Hardcore Champion. That's what it turned into for a while in NWA South, to 99 to 2001. And then it made another return in 2000. It was the NWA Brass Knuckles Champion, the New England version, promoted by NWA New England from 2000 to 2004. And then there was the Tri-State version, promoted by NWA Tri-State. But that was early on, sorry. That was in the 70s to 82. So the last incarnation of the Brass Knuckles Championship before the Retro Blood brings it back was in 2004. So.
Yeah. So we're here to do a service for the people.
Yeah, brother.
A lot of people would never have known about the Brass Knuckles Championship. I probably would never have known about it.
Yeah, I know. It's a cool looking belt too. Like, I don't know. I'll try to post a picture on the Facebook, get that Facebook some more love and shit. Everybody joined the Facebook, Instagram. The belt actually looked pretty good. It was like this big, old school classic belt with the big brass knuckles right in the fucking middle. He's like, you know what? I would carry that shit around. That makes you look like a tough guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot better than that spinner belt.
Yeah, better than the spinner belt for sure. Imagine going to the airport. You got to just show everybody all your shit when you're flying.
Yeah.
Like, you just show them that Brass Knuckles Championship. There's like, we're just going to let this guy go through.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, we ain't fucking with this guy. He's probably on a couple beers right now. So, But it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? I like talking about. We probably have to do this some more. Talk about different belts and stuff. But it's actually
I think it's fun.
I was just so surprised that this belt actually had a pretty long lineage, and it was actually a pretty well respected title. Like when you, I'm sorry when I first thought about the Brass Knuckles belt, I just thought it was some guy that won it at the bar. But this belt actually had a lot of good lineage by it, so I was actually pretty impressed. So. But yeah, speaking of Brass Knuckles, do you think our boy Duke, you think he would have a challenge for the Brass Knuckles belt?
Nah, man, Duke seemed like a pussy to me.
That's right. He was
the weakest guy in that whole movie.
Yeah, he was all talk. He couldn't handle it, brother.
For sure. And
he died pretty easy too. It was like, damn.
I know. And he's supposed to be the Fonzie in this character.
I know.
In this movie.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, all these '80s movies have a Fonzie.
I know. Crazy. What the fuck? They all do. They just gotta add the Fonzie guy in there. And boy,
I guess like 1950s stuff was popular in the '80s. Yeah, we need to talk about that outfit when it comes up. But before we move off of wrestling, I want to mention one thing.
Go ahead.
That will be interesting for the people. It'll be interesting for you. So, you last week, I believe it was last week on the show, were actually right about something, and I wanted to point out that you were right about something. So remember when we were talking about how WCCW was really popular in Israel.
Yes.
And then you said that you thought it was because they were on a Christian broadcasting network.
Yes.
And I pointed out that was ridiculous because the people who live in Israel by and large are Jewish.
Yes.
Turns out you were right.
Oh, okay.
So the reason that they bought that package, well, it wasn't necessarily because they were on a Christian network, but that there was a Christian network in the Middle East which broadcasted in Israel and Palestine and a lot of like countries around there.
Yeah.
And they used that on their Christian network as a lead-in for other shows that they had. So it's basically they showed wrestling to get other people to watch, to get people to watch their network, and then maybe they would see the other programs they had.
Yeah.
And thus, I guess, turn people into Christians or whatever. But you were actually right that is why they were popular in Israel.
Yeah.
That's why they were ended up being shown in Israel.
Yeah, that was like, because when I heard that was like the only like theory that I had. You know what I mean? Because I knew they were on that Christian network, and I was like, why the fuck would they be so popular in Israel? I was like, it had to be because of the religious angle. You know what I mean? So it's probably the only wrestling they were getting. And, people are drawn to wrestling. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. We know that nowadays. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. You're going to be drawn to wrestling. So it's like, well, fuck. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of why they were so popular there, because it was the only wrestling that got through, basically.
Yep, and that's basically why. I mean, I found that out off, well, it's probably not the latest episode now of Talking to Jericho, but the Von Erich boys, Ross and Marshall and their dad, Kevin's still the one still alive?
Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Kevin and Ross and Marshall were on it, and then Kevin told that story about them being popular in Egypt because of that.
Yeah.
And he would travel to Egypt a lot. Not Egypt, Israel. He would travel to Israel a lot because of that, actually.
Yeah. They would be up there a lot. So, yeah, man. There's one thing I know is the world-class stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like I feel like that's my home territory. I like it so much, especially in the 80s.
But he does tell this funny story. Yeah. I was going to say this. He does tell this funny story about how they were flying in the Middle East, and it was him and Andre the Giant and somebody else. And, they got their passport stamped wrong, so they were they were stamped in the wrong country they were supposed to be in, and they were held like at gunpoint because they thought they were terrorists.
Oh yeah,
which just to me is just funny thought of like Andre the Giant as a terrorist.
I know. Could you imagine?
Because he's so huge. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, move on. Like what you're saying, we're going on to what you're talking about.
So we're going to talk about some of the metal. What are we going to be listening to on our way to go see the Spookies, brother? And this might be more of like your wheelhouse. All right, I don't think this is like around mine. So the band,
we'll see.
This band is very respected, and this is like the metalheads like top. This could be probably a metalhead's top band. Okay, and I might get a little hate, but they've never been one of my favorites. But I can respect how they sound, and I can respect what they did for music. And I know the guy definitely has a good-looking family. And yes, that is one Megadeath, brother.
Okay, well.
They are here. And we actually haven't talked too much about Megadeath, which is surprisingly, because they're actually one of the most popular thrash bands known to man, kind of.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Well, they're one of the big four, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So they released an album January 19th, 1988, brother. And this one is the So Far, So Good, So What album.
Oh, yes. Classic.
Now, tell us a little bit about this album, Alison. I only got through a couple songs, and I was just like, just not doing it for me.
Before I talk about it, why did you not like it?
I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, man. Like, Megadeath just never did it for me. It's just like, I don't know. Just the singing, I guess. I don't know. I might need to explore it a little bit more, maybe some different albums, because sometimes it takes me a little bit. I just can't get into them that much. I don't know. Just something about it. Maybe it's I don't know. It was kind of boring. I could string that for that one, but I just couldn't do it.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Megadeth fan. I mean, they're probably my least favorite of the big four. This is a good album, though. This is probably the first Megadeth album I ever bought. It's got some classics on it. It's got In My Darkest Hour, Hook and Mouth. Well, those are the two big ones, I guess. But yeah, this is like right before they got really big. So they were change their lineup after this album. But the whole thing about Megadeth was they were almost entirely formed to try and destroy Metallica.
Yeah.
Because Dave Mustaine got kicked out of Megadeth, got kicked out of Metallica, and he swore revenge on James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich forever.
Yes.
And he formed this band to basically destroy Metallica. Well, we see how that turned out.
Yeah. But I mean, he did make a good career for himself. He
did. He didn't make a really good career for himself.
I mean,
he may not have made had he not had this kind of anger and hatred in him.
Exactly, because even though I'm not personally the biggest fan of Megadeth, I did say I do respect what they've done in metal, and they've been around forever. They still play shows nowadays, and like I said, they're probably are in the top four. You know what I mean? Because they could sell out arena shows anywhere in the world right now. You know what I mean? They're just that big of a band. So, just compared to the other ones, I just like them a little bit better. You know what I mean? But, I could respect, like I said, what Dave Mustaine's done. That song, My Darkest Hour, apparently was written following the death of Mustaine's former bandmate, Metallica bassist Cliff Burton. He wrote that song about him.
Yes.
So, that's a nice tribute that he did on this album, too. And, maybe it was just like this album. I don't know. I just wasn't digging it. But maybe, as we go on in the 80s, I know they did some other albums and stuff. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about those, give those a listen to. Looks like it only did like 3. So maybe
Rest in Peace is like the classic one, which came out in 1990. Yeah. It was the next album after this. But I mean, they're good. I mean, they're not the best band in the world, but they're good.
Yeah. But we'll play a little bit of them. You know what I mean? I can give them some respect. You know what I mean? They go out there. They do bring a lot of cool bands on tour with them. They got them a lot noticed, so I can respect that. And I could tell that our boy, the drunk, I called him the beer guy the whole time. I think his name might have been Rick, but you could tell that he would probably listen to a little bit of Megadeth here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, possibly. I can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we got a little bit, I could say in the 80s, you know what I mean? If you bought this album and you played it in the Trans Am, you know what I mean? I might have dug the whole thing, but then again, maybe it'll take me a couple listens too. You know what I mean? Maybe if you did that thing on rotation, okay, then maybe
sometimes you'll like that.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta break it in a little bit. So, but let's get into some of the who booked this shit, brother, for Spookies.
Yeah, because I got to know who booked this shit.
Well, if you ask, it's made by a guy named Brenda Faulkner and Thomas Doran. Okay? And this, of course, is an independent film. Okay? You could have fooled me. All right? And it also has additional footage directed by Eugene Josephs. So we got a couple people on this project over here. So a couple things. So this film was given a limited theatrical release in 1987 with a more widescreen video release in the later years. It also aired on cable television USA Network multiple times between 1988 and 1991. She was on TV? What the fuck? Okay. Despite its limited...
USA.
I mean, there was like no nudity and stuff. I mean, I could see it. Like, there wasn't really that much blood or like nudity. I mean, I could see it. You know what I mean? It wasn't really that bad, especially for the 80s period. Despite its limited release, modest box office haul, and scarce availability, it has achieved a cult-like following. Okay. I mean, what does it now? You know what I mean? If something's so goofy and out of the top, you know what I mean? It's probably going to have a cult-like following.
Yeah. I was about to say, anything's going to be considered a cult following now based on that.
And to be honest with you, like, I mean, I like, especially towards the end where the movie randomly became zombie, I actually thought that was pretty cool, even though it randomly became a zombie movie, even though I thought we were having demons. So,
yeah, well, it did start out as two different movies.
That's true. So, this movie was originally entitled Twisted Souls. All right. And it was written and produced by Frank Farrell and Brendan Faulkner and Thomas Dorn, and directed by Faulkner and Dorn. Principal photography began at the J Estate in New York. And Twisted Souls was being edited when creative and legal issues between the producers and the financial backers prevented final post-production. So we got some drama coming on over here with these films, brother. All right. It said the original Twisted Souls footage directed by Faulkner Dorn consists of all the travelers who arrive in two cars and all the monsters and effects that occurred within the house. The monsters include the demon, the demon Ouija board. What's it? How do you say that? Ouija? Anji board.
I say it Ouija.
Ouija, that's what I was looking for. The demon Ouija girl, the muck man, the spider woman. Oh yeah, wait till we get to there. The snake demons.
The muck men were my favorite part.
I don't know, bro. That snake demon was pretty funny looking.
That was pretty cool too.
The hallway demon, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
The hallway demon. I like it. Imagine selling that one at Spirit. Get yourself the brand new, deep, dark hallway demon. You thought it was safe to go to the hallways, brother. It's not anymore. Okay.
Nope. You can't go to the bathroom after dark now.
Speaking of Spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I know they made all the props, but brother, if there was a Spirit in 1987 or 80, when this fucking came out, 1988, brother, they would have all the creatures from this movie on there.
Well, I mean, that's another example of how we're all alike. I thought that nearly everything in this movie looked like something bought at Spirit Halloween.
I know. But listen, we ain't gonna rip it because me and you do appreciate that they didn't use fucking CGI and shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm cool if they want to go out to the local mom and pop Halloween store and grab a couple shit and post it on people. It's a lot better than that CGI shit. Okay?
Absolutely. And and like I've said a million times, obviously they didn't have a lot of money, but they did the best they could, and they made the best movie they could make with the money they made.
And actually I thought they did pretty well with the effects on it. You know what I mean? I thought it was pretty fun. So we also they also did some of the zombies outside. So in 1985, the financial backer of Twisted Souls hired Eugene Joseph to direct more footage, which was pieced together when the finished footage from Twisted Souls to create Spookies. The added scene, written by Anna Bergenden under the name of Joseph Bergenden. Oh, okay. I guess she could be a woman at that time. Featured an entirely different cast and included all the footage of the boy looking for his birthday party. Yeah, that was a weird... We'll get there. The man in the tree. That was weird, too. The cat man. The old musician. The girl in the coffin. Zombies at the end of film. The witch in the basement cave. And the little blue boy. Okay. So, yeah, like you were saying, they pretty much made two films and just cut them together.
Yeah. Yeah, because the way I took that was that they were making Twisted Souls, and then they ran out of money, So then they hired these other people to make footage to fit in with the Twisted Souls footage and made another movie out of it, a completely different movie.
Yeah. So something kind of interesting too. The film was released on VHS in the US by Sony Video, but eventually went out of print, right? But then Spookies was also released on VHS in UK by Place Video, and it was alongside Evil Dead 2. So not only could you get Spookies, but you can get Evil Dead 2 in the same set.
Well, that's a bargain.
I mean, come on, brother. What more do you need?
No, you would never need any more.
Do we even need to buy any more movies? Okay, come on.
No, you would only need those two forever. And it's since been released and remastered by Vinegar Syndrome, which is a really good company that does largely forgotten horror films. They're really good at not letting movies like this fade away, because a movie like this would have faded away into obscurity and nobody would ever knew it existed.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
But they keep a lot of those movies alive, which is why I like to do movies like this on the show, so that we can talk about them and people may not forget they existed.
Yeah, and they can go search it out. So
yeah,
you know, if you're not going to buy the 4K, I think it actually has a 4K release, which is cool. If you're not going to go buy that, me and Alison, we watched it off of Sling, of all places. But I think Sling, I watched it off the Sling that we have, because my Sling has the, I think it's called like Scare Box or something, Scare Box or something. I have that channel within my Sling, so that's how we had this movie on demand. But if you just want to watch it, if you have Scare Box or whatever the hell that thing is called, you can watch it from there too. So, but yeah, I say let's get into the full plot of this Spookies,
quote unquote.
Yes, plot of.
I have no idea why anything in this movie happened, but I'm sure you'll explain it to me.
Oh, I will. All right, this should have been Spookies: The Revenge of Mr. Freeze. That's what it should have been. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, brother. Spookies.
That's weird. No name.
Happy birthday, Billy.
Okay, so we start off, and the first thing we see is the old spooky sign with the little graphics, 80s, kind of cool. Then we see like this grave moving, and so the first thing I noticed right away, okay, like in this first couple sequence that we see, is you can tell, because we're in 1988 right now, you know what I mean? Actually, I think this movie was released a little earlier in 1987. But in you could tell we're in 1988, and we're kind of getting towards like the 90s, and I could tell like right away just the way this was filmed. It reminded me a whole lot of like what we'll be seeing later on in like Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know what I mean? Okay. Like the actual filming of the movie reminded me of that style like a lot, and it's pretty wild. So what we see was first we see this grave moving, then we see this old guy talking to a coffin. I thought it was the crypt keeper for a little bit. I was like, oh, he's showing up early, and it turned
out to be Mr. Freeze.
Yes, well, yes, it turned out. So yeah, Well, before we see him, what he does is so spills. By the way, like this movie, like, brother, if you like cuts, holy shit. I mean, fuck. Like every minute somebody was talking and doing shit. Like for writing notes for this wasn't the hardest thing I've ever wrote notes for because there really wasn't a whole lot going on. But boy, okay, they did a shit ton of cuts in this movie. Cut. I was like, fuck. So first we see the old guy, and he's talking. He says, you know, he has his last victims coming over, and you're going to be resurrected for the last time. This is going to be it. This is going to be the thing. So then we cut. By the way, if I say cut, like then you got to just start drinking, brother. Okay, just start it. So
I mean, they made this out of 2 movies.
I know.
So there's going to be a lot of cuts in it.
Well, fuck. And I thought I was there were so many cuts, I thought I was going to have a seizure. Okay? So bear with me. All right?
Right.
So we see a moon, and then no shit, they look like they got these tombstones for the dollar store. Okay? They look like they were falling over.
I figured they did.
Okay.
Yeah, they look like plastic tombstones.
Then we see we see a random kid in the forest. Of course, his name is going to be Billy. It looks just like something out of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Okay. Yep. Or Goosebumps. You know, one of those. Mostly Are You Afraid of the Dark? It looks just like that. Then we have this. I call him the vamp guy, but apparently he's some sort of cat demon. Like cat.
I thought he looked like a Nightcrawler from X-Men.
Oh shit, he did. He kind of did. You know what I mean, with the teeth. And
I was like, oh, it's Nightcrawler from X-Men, and he's wearing some like weird like circus outfit that they had left over on the clearance rack at Spirit Halloween.
Pretty much, yes. So we have Nightcrawler following this kid around. All right, then we see 2 sets of cars. We have one red car, one normal car. One set has Duke and all his crew in there, and the other one has the old guy in there, and I believe his name was Peter. Peter, all right, was telling the crew, all right, his crew, that Duke, the guy in the other car, got him kicked out of a party. So now he's following Duke because he's not used to these roads. So they're just following Duke to go to somewhere else because they got kicked out of the party. He's not a really big fan of him. All right, so now we see Billy. All right, apparently it's Billy's birthday and his parents forgot. So Billy plans to leave and walk outside and have big plans for his birthday by hanging out with himself or something. And then this next scene was something out of like To Catch a Predator. Okay.
The guy in the bushes.
Yeah, we had. So I was like actually kind of confused about this scene. I had no idea what was going on. So we have like this like creepy guy. He comes up to Billy and is all like, "Hey, you know, can I get a smoke?" And then he asks him how old he is, and he did not believe Billy was 13. And he was asking what he was doing out here alone, and he thinks he's going to be okay out here. I mean, it was kind of creepy. Okay. And then like Billy like gets away because he says he has big plans and he's going to do stuff on his own. He leaves, and it looks like this guy, this creeper, was going to like attack Billy and, you know, do some predator shit on him. And then out of nowhere, Nightcrawler comes up and kills his ass.
Yeah, like why? I mean, I don't know what else am I supposed to get out of the scene. Is like he was gonna like kidnap and do child predator shit to Billy, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Nightcrawler kills him with his hook hand.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so is Nightcrawler? He's like the baby face now. He just saved Billy from getting predatored on. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So okay, is that okay? That scene was just really, it just caught me off guard. The whole scene did. Okay, so then we get Mr. Freeze over here. Okay, and apparently this guy, he's like a sorceress, and his actual shoot name is Kreon or Kreon. That's his shoot name, right? But he's fucking Freeze because this guy, not only did he sound like Freeze with his like fucking mumbled voice, I'm gonna get a lighter from the dead, brother. Okay, some shit like that. But he has so this guy's like 100,000 years old, right? And he has this hot looking 80s chick in his coffin that he's keeping preserved. Okay,
right?
Like Mr. Freeze.
They're the same age, though, right?
Well, yes, they're the same age, but I guess since she's been so preserved over time, she got to keep her young looks about her. But this guy is an old corpse. Okay.
Yeah, well, that was my main thing. Is like at this point, because he kept talking about how he's gonna like keep her young and resurrect her and shit. But
yeah,
like he should be like she seems to be fine. She's moving around and gets out of the coffin eventually.
Well, that's because of his. Because of his sorcery powers. See, the thing is, this guy, what he does is he lures people to his Bel Air, Fresh Prince of Bel Air mansion. Okay,
right,
and he kills them with evil demon magic, and he buries them outside, and I guess from there he gets their souls, like the guy from Mortal Kombat, and insert him into Isabel, which is his wife. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, I understand that concept, but it's like you would think he needs to put some of that some of his sorceress ways towards himself, because he's becoming like a corpse and she's still like 25 years old.
Well, the thing is, his logic was, he can't help it because her beauty is overtaking his mind.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I also can't figure out why he puts tombstones up for all these people that he kills.
Well, he has
and they don't have names on them.
Well, we got, you got a brand around the house. You know what I mean?
Well, true.
You know what I mean? Maybe, they're just like, okay, well, we need dead zombie guy number 1, dead zombie guy number 2. Come on now.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so they're all in the car, and I like how they're all like, so the car with Duke in it, they're all like drinking beer.
Dude,
okay.
Duke. I couldn't stop laughing every time they said it's fucking.
So then that's when we got the beer guy. I think his name was Rick.
Yeah.
He was drinking beer. Yeah. They're all drinking beer. All right, and then Billy now goes to the Bel Air house, and we upgraded from $1 tombstones to $5 tombstones now. So
yeah, a little better.
So Duke goes inside the house. He sees that there's a mock party set up for him. And okay, so how does this make sense? So Billy, he's like 12 or 13. He claims he's 13. He goes into this random house that's out there in the middle of nowhere. It's not established that it's his house. There's a party set up for him. And he's all like, oh, they all remembered after all. It's a surprise party. And I'm thinking, well, wait, what? What? You're in some strange haunted house. Did they tell you to come to... Okay.
And you were just chased by a child predator.
Yeah. But this guy, man, kids in the 80s, man, they just flied on by. They didn't worry about nothing.
I guess they did. I guess not.
They didn't worry about nothing, brother. They're just like, hey, we're just going to go out there in the dark alone by haunted mansions and stuff. No problem. So now he's in there, right? And he opens up his card. And it's all about this happy birthday Billy and stuff. And then there's like a toy that haunts him. Okay. Right. And then here's a couple noises. And then he tries to open up this big box that was for him. He thinks it's a bowling ball. He opens it up. It's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. He opens it up and it's a dead head saying, happy birthday, Billy. And then he runs on out of there. And then during all this stuff too, we have a little kid in a Halloween costume. It looked like he went to the local mom and pop's Halloween store, and he was saying, "Hey, can I get half the costume for the Ewoks?"
Okay. Oh, that's best. No, that's
basically what it was.
But you're right.
And that's supposed to be Mr. Freeze, Kreon's son. His name is Cobra or Cobra. One of the fucking two.
That's fucking great. Yeah, I thought he looked like one of the little Jawa guys from Phantasm, kind of.
Oh yeah, that would do too. All right. So, and he picked up like an ice pick and shit. Like he was trying to do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So Duke, all right. He asks, is everybody? So, basically what happens is during all this stuff, the Nightcrawler guy puts a branch out in the middle of the road. So that's why Duke and all them had to stop. And this is when we actually can see Duke's outfit.
All right, we got to stop here. What the fuck is Duke wearing?
So at first, I thought it was the jumpsuit that The Rock wore at the 1999 Royal Rumble. But it was made of leather.
No. So I couldn't figure out. At first, I thought it was one of those sweatsuits that people wear at the gym to sweat water weight off.
Yeah, but it was leather.
But it was leather. But he was wearing this. I didn't even describe what this is like. It's he's wearing loose baggy leather pants and a loose leather tunic is the only thing I would describe it as. I don't know. No one I have never. I mean, I remember 1988, and I don't remember anyone wearing anything like this.
Well, I like how the shirt he was wearing was like a long sleeve belly shirt.
Yes, that was fantastic.
And then not only did he have stomach hair, he had back hair too. I was like, this guy, he's
well, yeah, he's a Fonzie.
He's a Fonzie, brother. Both. Come on now. And so Pete and old man Pete and Duke argue about the tree. And eventually they get the tree out of the way. And Duke's like, listen, everybody who wants to go party, just come follow me. So they all go follow him. And they find, they eventually just ran up at a haunted mansion. Okay?
They just randomly find this place, right?
Yeah. So they go up to this haunted mansion. All right? And they're like, hey, let's go party in here. Okay? And then they started talking a little bit about this mansion, and a couple of the crew was wondering like why somebody would build a mansion around all these tombstones. And Rick makes a joke saying, "Oh, that's a neat way to put fertilizer around here." Ha ha ha.
Oh, how funny.
Yes.
Humor, comedy.
So during all this stuff, then we see Billy, the birthday boy. He is out there, and now he's getting stalked by Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler has turned his back of being a hero that stopped him from Predator. Now he is the Predator.
Yes.
Trying to attack Billy. And so the payoff to the Billy story is, which was weird, and I didn't really get it at all. So he like traps him, knocks him in a graveyard, knocks his ass out, and buries him alive, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all we get from Billy, right?
Yeah.
He's not in the rest of the movie at all, unless I missed him somewhere.
I mean, unless he was one of the zombies at the end, like he didn't do jack shit. Like he was just written to die.
Yeah, so they wrote that. So that was not in the original movie that they made. So that was one of the parts that they wrote.
For what?
For the new movie.
Like it even makes sense.
Why? No.
It's like
it doesn't make sense why he would be there, why he would do anything that he's doing, why he would think that.
Just to add a kid.
Yeah, like why? There's no reason for him to think that his parents would have thrown him a surprise party inside this haunted mansion. None of this makes any sense. No. Like why? That's all I kept saying is why.
Why? So now,
why am I watching this?
Now the kids, and I put quotation marks between kids.
Yeah.
The kids and the older guy, they all go into the house now. It took them a while to get to the house because half the crew doesn't want to go in there. And Duke's like, I'm going in there anyway. I want to party. All right. So we see Rick, the drunk guy. He is trying to be funny where he's grabbing beer and running into people. Ha, ha, ha. It's funny.
Very funny.
Yes.
But yeah, so one quick thing though. So so all of these people, we don't know how they know each other, really, but some of them are supposed to be teenagers, right? And some of them are supposed to be adults.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Well,
but pretty much
adults.
Everyone's like 35 years old.
Well, the guy who played Pete, he kind of looked like, oh God, what's his fucking name? Steve from Married with Children. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, kind of.
You know what I mean?
Is he the guy that's dating Adrian?
No. That's
girl
Dave.
That smokes all the time. Dave, yeah.
Pete.
So are they supposed to be teenagers or are they supposed to be older?
Well, I think they were part of the older crew. Okay. So what?
I guess because she smokes all the time.
Yes. So I'm guessing Pete, Dave, and Adrian, I believe her name was.
Yeah, Adrian.
And yeah, they were like the older people. And the girl, Linda, who was the redhead that was dating Duke, she knew Adrian, and then she brought her boyfriend's friends over, and her boyfriend's friends were like that Lewis guy, Carol, those fucking people. You know what I mean? The drunk Rick guy. And, they were supposed to be the younger ones. So
yeah, what was Linda? That was her name.
Yeah, right? Linda, the redhead with the tits.
Yeah. I was about to say Laura with the big boobs. Although one thing that I will say that's pretty amazing about the way this movie was shot, they could always find an angle that every scene she was in where you can see down her shirt.
Yeah, and there's nipples showing. Yep. Come on, brother.
Yeah, no matter where, no matter what was happening, they would always find a way to shoot it to where she was in a position, the camera's in a position where you could see down her shirt every single time.
I mean, come on, brother. I mean,
it's amazing.
You got to add something in there. All right. So they're like just hanging out in this house. There's like electricity on and everything. They're drinking some beer, and apparently this is like a lame party because nobody wants to do anything. Okay, Pete doesn't want to do nothing. Duke doesn't want to do nothing. Rick just wants to drink beer, and Carol's not feeling well right now. And Duke wanders around. Right, he finds a box. Okay, he finds a box-like structure, and he opens it, and there's like some sort of like dagger pin in there.
Yeah.
All right, and it like falls out and jumps on its own, and then randomly, because like I guess he has like an attitude, he's like a tough guy. He's like, "What's going on with this door?" And he just like starts breaking this fucking door down. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Brother, can we like simmer on what just happened with this sword thing? No, we got to break this door down." So we break the door down, and some dead body falls on him, and everybody's trying to say that's a real body, even though that shit totally looked fake. Okay.
It's a spirit Halloween dead body.
It's a spirit Halloween dead body that fell on his ass.
It looks exactly like a spirit Halloween decoration.
So it falls on
there's
him.
There's no way that they think it's a real body. Like I don't think it's a real body from where I'm sitting. Exactly. There's no way that they think this is real.
All right, and then they found a Ouija board on him. All right, and then we had to have a whole lecture of what a Ouija board is. I was like, boy, here we go. I was like, here we go. By the way, the acting in this, brother, like I wouldn't say it's Silent Night, Deadly Night too bad, but boy, it was getting there. Because there were some lines that were like, we had to explain everything that we're doing. Hey, I'm walking 2 steps. Hey, it's just everything we have to explain. It's like, fuck, it's like I'm watching Monday Night Raw. We have to explain everything. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's funny that Duke found the box, like the box he found. Like he picked up one thing in the house and it had this like plot moving device in it.
Yeah.
Like it had the one thing they needed to move the plot forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, we keep getting cuts to Mr. Freeze too, because Mr. Freeze, he is trying. This is like his plan. His plan is to lure these kids in his mansion, so they can play his evil demon sorcery games. So they can they could be dead, join his garden, and then his bride will live forever. And this is supposed to be the last of them. I guess he has enough bodies to keep the wife alive forever or something. So now this is like the last of his people that he needs, and he's all happy about it. And boy, this guy, I explained that in about like less than 2 seconds. This guy had to explain it for like an hour of what he was doing, over and over again. And I could barely. Minutes. And it's like this. It's like this. Yes, I will take them down and I will destroy them and I will make sure that you are going to be my bride forever. Stuff. Look at me. I was like, fuck, bro. Okay, we got you, Freeze. Just calm it down. Yeah, we know what you're doing. Okay?
Just simmer down, Mr. Freeze. We got you. But yeah, they had a kind of a cool like little effect on his voice that makes him sound like Mr. Freeze.
I thought he was using, remember that thing they used for Kane? Like that like thing for smokers? You know what I mean?
It doesn't sound like that. It doesn't sound like that.
It was kind of close.
But it had like, I mean, like if you told me that the Batman animated series people saw this movie and said, "Oh, we should make Mr. Freeze sound like that," I would believe you.
Yeah, I would believe it. Yes. So now they all decide to eventually play this Ouija board game after we had to explain what it is. And they figured out that the thing that dropped out of the box is going to be this guide. And now Carol, she's acting all weird. All right, so now, like Carol is basically saying, dead's all around us. Dead can reach us and stuff. Also, too, Mr. Freeze treats Nightcrawler like a pet. Like when he talks to him, it's basically like his little pet thing. So now they start asking the Ouija board some questions. Linda does. The first question is, how old is Adrian? 24. And of course you can hear our boy Freeze. She's 24. Okay, like that. All right. So now they're like, okay, how old will Adrian live to be? And it says 24. Okay. And then she gets all mad. All right. And then they're like, well, when are we going home? Never. All right. And then they're like, will I ever marry Duke? Or will we be together? And the guy was like, no.
No.
So they're all getting pissed off. They all think Linda's doing this, by the way. Like all right. And then they're like, and then she's like, will me and Duke be even together from a month from now? And he's like, no. Okay. And then like Duke's like, well, you can't blame me on that one. I was like, and then I just put on my notes, the acting, LOL.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So Adrian's played by Charlotte Alexandra, who she was like a European actress. Well, she's like from England, I think, but she played in what I call those Euro sex movies in the 70s, like the Emmanuel movies. She did a lot of those.
Oh,
and now she's doing this as an American.
That's
film.
probably why she was smoking the whole time and bitching at David.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so now Carol, she is now having visions of Freeze. Okay. By the way, when we say Freeze, we mean Kreon, whatever the fuck. Kreon, or whatever this hell. But we like to call him Freeze, basically. So she's having her head. See, basically, so Freeze has like this vein in his head. It's like the source of his power. It's like his fucking vein head. Okay. And then now Carol randomly turns into a demon like you would see on Evil Dead. All right, just randomly turns into she's now a Carol demon. All right. And then she starts whooping all their asses. All right. And I did like, there was one part that she gets like a beer bottle thrown at her. I thought it was funny for some reason. Maybe, actually, you know what? Maybe Carol Demon was trying to try out for the Brass Knuckles Championship. Yeah, it's possible. Hello? Did you vanish on me?
Oh, there we go. I couldn't unmute myself.
I thought you were so taken back by Carol being the next challenger for Tony Atlas's Brass Knuckles Championship.
No, I was taken aback by how this part's clearly a rip-off, a stolen moment from the Evil Dead, but
well, they're part of the same box set.
It looks even close. Well, that's true.
Okay, come on now.
But like the effects, the makeup on Carol, just like nothing.
Yeah,
even close to how good Evil Dead looked.
Yeah, so they all kind of get away from Carol and stuff after she starts freaking out and stuff. Pete says they gotta get out of here and stuff. And they all want to make a run for it. And the thing is, like, so the first person to leave was, I think it was David, Adrian, and Lewis. All right, so Lewis gets out there first, and he goes all the way, like, kind of like near, like, one of those tombs, and he gets stuck, like, in quicksand and some shit. And then the tomb reads out his name, Lewis, and then he gets sucked into the tomb. And that's when Adrian and Dave, they're like, fuck this shit, so we're going back inside. And they pass, like, Duke and all of them, and Duke's like, no, I'm still going to get out of here and stuff. And Pete's like, just be my guest. Go out there. So Duke tries to get out there and stuff, and he's about to, get out there, and then they can see that all these like demon zombies are raising, kind of like are out there and stuff from the graves. Yep. They're like, oh fuck it, we ain't gonna go out there now. Okay. So this is when we get a whole lot of back and forth. So everybody kind of wants to break up now. We're gonna have one crew look downstairs. We're gonna have one crew look upstairs, and we're gonna have Adrian and Dave just chill on out. Okay, that's what we're gonna happen because it's a horror movie. Everybody has to break up so we can have more film time with them.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Duke. Duke first. Duke and Linda first. So they go upstairs. They're looking around. They go into like this. Looks like an old wine cellar. Okay, and they're looking around. Duke. I guess somehow he falls on Linda, and now he is horny. He's like, let's get going. He saw those tits hanging out, brother. He's just ready to go. And it's like, no, not right now. And then Duke's like, wow, you don't think I can provide for you? Huh? You don't think I can provide for you? So he looks around and stuff, and he finds a wine bottle, drinks the wine bottle. It's all old and shit. All right, and Linda's still waiting on the floor. Looks like she was like maybe thinking about the idea of getting fucked on the floor. I have no idea. And then out of nowhere, Alison and everybody, we have floor demons.
Yes.
Dirt floor demons grab Linda, They look kind of cool. They kind of look like something from Batman 2. Remember the Sandman? Kind of look like, you know.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
How come we didn't have that on the list? We had hallway demon, but we didn't have floor demon.
No, these are the muckmen.
Oh, these are the muckmen. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, because their entire costume is made out of a burlap sack.
Well, yeah, I mean, what do you think happens when you're living in a haunted demon house and you're in the wine cellar? Right. So apparently...
You just wear whatever you can get with the burlap sack.
So apparently Duke starts fighting them.
Yeah.
Okay? And he I guess somehow he spills some wine on one of them, and he realizes, oh, wait, wine, hurts them. So he tells Linda to break open one of those wine barrels, and she does that, and then the muck demons are destroyed by wine.
Yeah, because a wine cellar would be a great place to hang out if wine destroyed you.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. Like it's like it's like it's like a video game. You know what I mean? Like they're in their lair, but there's something in the lair that's going to kill them, but they're still hanging out there.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So during all this too, apparently, Mr. Freeze and his wife Isabel, they don't really like. Isabel doesn't feel the same about Freeze as Freeze feels about her. Okay. So she wakes on up saying like, oh, I don't really love you. Like, I'm never going to love you. I'm not going to love you. Stop bringing me back to life. And of course, Freeze is like, I'm a sorcerer guy. I killed people for you. I'm not going to stop doing this because I'm going to have you forever, all of eternity. And she's like, well, I poisoned myself before. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. It ain't going to work this time. Okay. So that's their relationship. So that's fun.
Yeah, so she's basically like, I've never loved you. I don't love you now. I'm never going to love you. And he's like, oh, just give it time. Yeah. I killed people for you.
Okay, so now we have Dave and Adrian. They talk about, basically Dave, he's all freaked out because he all thinks they're going to die. And Adrian, she's perfectly fine over there smoking a cigarette. She feels very safe in the room that she's in right now. Okay? So they're kind of like arguing. Their big thing is they just argue back and forth the whole time. All right. So now the drunk guy, Rich, he finds he's upstairs. Rich is upstairs with Pete and I didn't say this girl's name yet. Pete and Megan.
Megan.
That's a fucking weird name. Megan.
Yes.
Not Megan. No, not Negan, not Megan. Let's combine the two. Megan, brother.
Yes.
Okay. They're upstairs. Rick freaks out, gets caught by a wire. Haha, comedy relief guy.
Funny.
And he looks around rooms and stuff, and it's supposed to be funny. It's not. So they're the Pete and all them and Megan. They're all upstairs. They're looking around. This is like the whole part of the movie. They're just looking around a bunch of rooms. Okay. The only people that really got attacked right now by demons is Linda and Duke. Okay. So we're looking up upstairs and everything. Rich is, I guess he somehow he goes into this room where Carol was at. Okay. And he gets locked in there. And they're trying to get him out a little bit. And then, of course, then we see another scene of Duke. There's like 1,000 cuts here. So we see another scene of Duke and Linda argue about like Linda not feeling that Duke can take care of her. Okay. Even though they just got attacked by demons. All right. Right. So now we have Adrian. She hears a bunch of noises. Okay. And apparently, like Dave, his plan to do this stuff is he was going to get drunk, right? And apparently Dave doesn't really drink a beer. So Dave, he had one beer and he passed out. What a fucking lightweight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just one.
So he just passed out after this and stuff. And Adrian, she's hearing a bunch of noises. And this is when we get actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where we get Linda fighting the green-red monster toy.
Oh yes.
Or the green lizard snake monster toy. Now this thing I like the way they shot it, because it's like 1,000 cuts, brother. I mean 1,000 cuts. So they have him have it like biting Adrian. And then like he'll bite him, and then they'll cut to a scene of his face, and then it'll be moving around. She'll throw him around, and there'll be the same cut of his face. And they kept doing that. Like every time the thing would move, they would cut to his face in the same still shot. I was like, this is weird.
I actually thought this prop looked pretty good if they made it. If they didn't buy it from Spirit Halloween, I think this thing looked pretty good.
Well, I think they might have made it, and then they resold it to Spirit Halloween.
Maybe.
But remember, there was no Spirit in the 80s, brothers. So you had to go to the mom and pop, do your own self Halloween store or something.
Oh, I don't know when Spirit Halloween started. I just assume they existed in the 80s. I have no idea.
I mean, I have no idea. I don't know. So, but whatever the big thing was. But I assume they made it because the whole mouth was moving and everything. Like, they were big into making these kind of props in the 80s. So, but it looked pretty cool. Eventually, Adrian gets the upper hand on the lizard demon, where she pulls a bookshelf over him and crushes him. But like, it was weird because while she was crushing him, we still got still shots of his face. So, and then of course our boy Nightcrawler is upset about that. This is when Adrian leaves the room. And by the way, the green lizard monster killed David in his sleep. Apparently, it's either that or that one beer, one of the two.
Yes. Yeah, because he's laying down, and then all of a sudden his face is all fucked up.
Yes, pretty much. So now Freeze is talking more to the wife about how he loves her and she hates him. Okay, and then he starts, and then he starts saying, "Oh well, all my children sacrificed for you." And she's like, "Well, what the hell are we talking about? We only had one child.
We only have one child."
And he's like, "No, I got many childs out there." She's like, "No." It's like, do you want to see our child? She's like, "Yes." "All right, child, come in here." She takes one look at this fucking kid. She's like, "Nope, not for me, brother." And she runs out of the room.
So good.
So I was like, okay. So she just runs on out of there. And then like Mr. Freeze and like his like Scooby-Doo, she's like, she won't get far. Oh, God.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
All right. So now we see Pete and Megan. All right. They're back. And they're talking about, they think everything is kind of hopeless right now. Adrian sees Dead Dave. And Dead Dave tries to get her to come because he's a demon now. And then Dead Dave turns, I guess he's the hallway demon. Because he turns into the slime monster, who actually looks pretty cool. All right. Oh, and by the way, I actually like this scene too because not only does Dave turn into a big slimy 80s monster who actually looked really cool and slimy, he used 80s flash lightning to melt Andrea.
Yeah, but it wasn't blue.
Well, it wasn't blue, but this one was like a more like a orangey white color. Okay.
True.
And I liked it. Boy, if I can copy this, I fucking would. Like, just have a big slimy monster, give me some 80s effects, and have the fucking person melt. I mean, come on, what more do you need? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the melting effect.
Yeah, we need more melting. Everything just blows up nowadays.
I know, we need more melting.
Like, why can't we have melting, brother? Like, just melt, man, just melt.
More face melting.
I mean, come on now. What's wrong with that? Now, we would get the 80s blue lightning later on. Everybody who's looking out for it, because that's one of our favorites over here on the Retro Blood.
Yeah.
Okay, so the rich guy, the beer guy, all right, he's looking through this play in the hallway and stuff. Like he's basically, I guess he was stuck in that room. Nobody can get him out there. And he's walking through the hallway that has a bunch of cobwebs. During this, somehow Carol, she has now designed herself a ritual room. And I guess she is the one who is being possessed by Kreon, a.k.a. Freeze. So here's how the chain of command is working out. Okay, we have Mr. Freeze. He is he put his demon special serum into Carol. And now Carol is using the Ouija board and her demon powers to conjure up all these other demons. So that's why we saw the Muckman. That's why we saw the lizard demon crawling creature. That's why we saw Dave's slimy demon body. She is doing all this from her ritual room. Okay. And during this, we have Dave. He's going through all these This is actually a cool scene too, and very random. And actually, I didn't really know what to think about this, and I thought I was going to take a sexual route, but it didn't. Okay. So Rick's over there. He's all through his cobwebs, and this door opens. It's like this random Asian girl. All right. She's like, "Hey, I need your help. Your friends are over here," or something. And she's like, "Well, who are you?" It's like, "I'm a person that got stuck here like you. come in here. Come into this room and we can get out here together. All right? Is that okay? I think call him like Thomas or like his last name or some shit. Okay? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll come in there. So he comes in there and this girl has like this spider room. Okay? So she like, when he gets in there, he was wondering how she knew his name and everything. Their friends told her and everything. And, you know, they're going to get out of here together just right over here. And then this huge spider attacks Rick and he like pushes him onto the spider web. Okay. And then now the Asian girl is going to, for all my Japanese anime watchers, she is going to turn into a Japanese animated spider's sex demon.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
You know, but, you know, this one didn't have a bunch of cocks on her fucking legs. All right, it was just fins on there, brother. So don't get too excited.
We needed to be able to show it on USA.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, come on, brother. We can't be that violent. Okay.
This has to be the movie watched after Raw goes off.
So I didn't know what the rating was of this movie, but at first I was like, okay, is this going to get sexual over here? Because I can kind of dig it. You know what I mean? But no, it didn't go that way. She just turned into like a big giant spider. Even though it looked cool, it looked like an Asian demon spider. I was actually pretty impressed.
It actually, it looked pretty good, considering.
So I thought this scene was actually pretty cool because of her transformation, and they showed it. They showed her like coming from a human form out into like this spider form, and I thought it was really well done. And then he pushes him on the fucking spider web, and what does she do? She fucking drains his ass, melting his ass. Good.
And his head like deflates.
Yeah, deflates the shit. So we need more of that shit. All right. So this is when we get back up to the house, okay? And we only have a certain members of the crew left. We have Megan, Pete, and Duke and Linda. All right, so they all meet up at the top of the staircase, and apparently they already kind of like knew people died. Like maybe were they like watching the movie while we were watching the movie or something? I didn't really get
potentially.
So they knew some people were dead already, and they think they're gonna die, and then somehow like Pete or Duke, I couldn't really understand because they were talking like a miles per hour, but one of them pissed off the other one. So out of nowhere, Pete and Duke just start fighting. Okay, just like start beating each other's. And I was like, this fucking old dude Pete, who looks like fucking Steve from fucking Married with Children, is just whipping this Duke guy's ass. I was like, damn. And then the girl's just like, don't do that. Please don't fight. Okay.
Yeah, Duke's not nearly as tough as he looks.
Exactly. He's getting his ass whipped. So they fight into like this like statue room. Okay. And they're fighting back and forth. The girls are like, oh, don't do that. And then next thing you know, our girl Carol, Demon Carol, she summons a statue Grim Reaper. Okay.
Yes. Awesome.
So it actually looked pretty good. And like, bro, if you wanted your main prop at Spirit, it would look just like this. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So the statue's Grim Reaper demon starts fighting a couple of them, and he actually, I guess he chops, or I don't know if he chopped off Duke's head or body, but basically he chops Duke down, and that's the end for Duke, so he's gone. All right. And then, and then the most random scene I've almost ever seen of somebody trying to get away. Bro, Alison, I don't know if you caught this because it was super quick. But if not, like everybody, you guys got to pause this shit. And I could not believe with my own eyes. I can't believe I caught this. Okay. So they're like boarded up in this room, right? Okay.
Right.
So like the girls are on the out. So when the whole Grim Reaper shit happened, like the girls ran out, but the door like locked like in between them. So that's why like Pete and Duke, they were like fighting this Grim Reaper, and then Duke got chopped, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a little like ramp that goes to the door to the outside. So our boy Pete like sees Duke get shot, right? And he just like fucking bolts onto this ramp head first into the door, breaks it, okay, to get out. And then the next thing we cut, he's like perfectly fine, everything's okay. Hey girls, let's get out of here. So this guy opened up a sealed wood door and he broke it with his head.
Yeah, why not? is
And like the
badass.
way he did it, he looked like he was like he looked like he was going like headfirst into a pool. It was fucking weird, man. Did you see that or no?
I did kind of notice that, yes.
But the cut was just so weird. It's like he's running headfirst into wall, breaks the wall, gets up, perfectly fine, no dust or debris on him at all.
Yep.
Hey, girls, let's get out of here. They all leave.
Let's go.
I was like, I had to rewind it. I was like, what is going on here? Okay, it just threw me off. So they're outside, right? Now they get to the outside, like they're on like the roof, and the Grim Reaper demon follows them out from the roof and stuff. Okay, and they're trying to break into the other doors and stuff. And then out of nowhere, Pete, who apparently can break through wooden doors with his head and be fine, he beats the Grim Reaper demon by how? By tripping him and having him fall off the house, and the thing just blows up. So Pete, the oldest guy in this film, is kicking everybody's ass.
Sure.
But they're putting over these old guys. All right.
Well, yeah, you never know with the old guys. Sometimes they can.
Like he didn't do anything with this Rimper. He just tripped his ass, and he fell off the roof and he blew up. Like what did the statue have? Like dynamite in him? Like, oh god, it was pretty funny. Okay. So now they go back into the room, right? And they're calm as can be, and they start looking around this room in the house, and they can see the sorcerer in an old picture. You know, they see, like, we get some plot stuff around the house. Like, obviously, we could tell, like, Mr. Freeze has been doing this for decades. Basically, like we said before, he gathers people in his houses. He does some demon magic on them. And he gives all their life form or whatever to his wife to keep her alive. So, Linda, at this time, she's hurt, too. So, she needs help everywhere. She got hurt during the whole scuffle with the Grim Reaper. And they're looking around this house, and I guess something like draws Linda to the bookshelf, and she just like falls on the bookshelf for no reason. You know, she's supposed to be sitting tight, and this veil thing like pops off the bookshelf, and it melts like this statue. And they think it's acid, but then Peter's like, "Oh, it's not acid. It's the cure for everything in this veil."
It's the cure for everything.
And I was like, really, guys? Okay. And then he's like, hey, I saw that exact veil on the skeleton thing by the Ouija board that we saw downstairs. So we need to get down there. Okay. So they try to get down there. And of course, they run into our girl, Carol. All right. Carol is in that same room where the whole veil is at. And so Carol, she now does some magic on everybody.
Magic.
Now. So she brings out the 80s blue lightning, okay? And she does the whole Stephen King thinner stuff where she makes everybody old. Okay?
Okay, right. Okay, I'm following you. Yeah.
So she apparently, like I said, you know, she's like the surrogate for Mr. Freeze. So Mr. Freeze has many powers. And one of them is he can now use his magical Ouija board that has demon magic to make these people old. Now, why didn't they do that earlier? I don't know, for effect. We had to use all these other demons first. They was in the contract that they came to the movie. Okay? That's why we could not... Right. That's why we could not use this magical spell before. Or maybe what it was, maybe she had to power up, you know what I mean? Before she can do this spell.
Yeah. Plus, we'd already shot all those other scenes.
Yes, exactly. So, Pete tries to go for the veil, but guess what? He fails, and they all just turn old and die. Okay, well, there they all go. Okay, and then next thing we know, the real star of the movie is actually Isabella, the wife.
Yes. Yeah.
So we just cut to her, and she is trying to get out. And then this is like a whole long sequence where the movie went from trying to rip off Evil Dead to trying to rip off Zombie. Okay.
Yep.
So she's getting out of there. She kind of reminded me of like all those princesses from like, you know, Mario or Zelda. You know what I mean? She's locked in this magical castle, and she's trying to get out of there. So she eventually gets out of the castle. And she gets outside, and then this is when we have all the zombies Actually, well, before this all happens, though, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. I like this part too. So she's in this, like, you know, she's going through the house. She goes through the whole levels of different parts of the house, and she talks to herself. She's like, you know what? I know what must be done. Maybe I knew it this whole time. And I was thinking, motherfucker, haven't you been alive for like 70 years, and yet now you're figuring out what you're supposed to do? Like. So her big plan that she could not figure out for decades, okay, was to kill him.
Right.
But she couldn't figure that out for, like, you know, decades to kill the guy. Okay, gotcha. So maybe now she has courage for randomly somehow now. So she goes to visit our boy Freeze in the gardens, or this garden looking room. All right.
Right.
And Freeze is like, you know, same old spiel. I love you. You're the beautiful. I'll do anything for you. I kill people for you. Even though you don't like me at all, it doesn't matter. You eventually will. You know, the same old spiel. And she's like, oh, man, maybe I'm coming around, right? And then during this, she picks up like a knife or something. And he's all like, they're going to go in for like a kiss or something. And then she just stabs him right in his fucking magic vein on the head.
Yeah.
And I was like, it took you like, what, 70 years to do this shit? I mean, fuck, bro. Like, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, at least. I mean, it could have been like hundreds of years.
It could have been even more. But now she has the courage. Gotcha. So she does all that. He falls on down. All right. And there was this whole side plot of, like, Freeze teaching his son to be evil and shit. I guess what happened was Freeze gave his powers to young Freeze, and then young Freeze gave his powers to Carol, and that's how they all turned into, like, dead old people. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's a little side piece, by the way. So after Isabel stabs his ass, she runs out of there, right? And now she has to run through all the children, I guess. And I guess these, like, children, they all call Isabel mommy, but they all want to attack her and eat her or do other activities involving grabbing and tearing off clothes. I'm not really sure which one. Okay. So this scene was, like, long, but it was actually pretty, like, well done, I thought. Like, of her running and all these zombies, demon creatures, like, popping out of the grave and, like, catching her and stuff. Actually, I thought this part was really, like, pretty, like, suspenseful, and I actually, like, kind of appreciated it. But I was like, damn, this girl can... I mean, she was, like, getting her dress ripped off, all these fucking clothes ripped off. We didn't see no tits or nothing, but she was getting part of the clothes ripped off and stuff. She eventually finds a car, right? And this car just has a random dude in it. And the guy's like, hey, get out of my car. She's like, I can't. She's like, look, they're after me. He's like, okay, scoot over. All right. So then, like, he gets in the car and he, like, runs down some of the zombies. Some of the zombies are trying to attack the car and stuff. And he's driving all the way and stuff. And she's like, oh, God, thank God I finally got away and everything. Like, and he's like, you will never leave. You're always with us. She's like, what? And then next thing you know, our boy, the driver guy, is Nightcrawler. He is back, brother. Yeah. And he has now got Isabel in his clutches in the car, and she starts to scream. And then a whole grave thing that was moving earlier pops out, and it's our boy, Mr. Freeze. He is now regenerated back to life, and he laughs, and that ends Spookies, brother.
Wow, that was something else, man.
That was something else. It's a very fast-paced, interesting movie. It's like, it's kind of like, it really is a tale of two stories.
Well, I was going to say, you can tell that it was made from two different movies, because, like, the whole beginning and the whole end were the new parts of the movies they shot.
Yeah.
And then that middle part was the old movie that they never finished.
Yeah, it's just very weird. Okay. But, like, I know, like, I can see why this is a cult favorite, because it's so wacky that it's, like, good. But, like, it's just very interesting, I would say. It's like, to me, it's like 50-50. It's like 50% pretty fun and 50% kind of cringy. So. Yeah,
because none of the characters that, like, Isabel or any of those characters, none of them appeared with the cast of, like, the kids, right?
Well, no, like, the fucking Billy guy was just by himself. And then Isabel, like, she didn't appear with the cast at all. Like, she didn't even know any of these motherfuckers.
Right, because so she couldn't. So that means they couldn't get the cast back to shoot any new scenes. So yeah, all those scenes were of the main cast were shot for the other movie they made, Twisted Souls or whatever.
Yeah,
and then they made these two bookending like little parts for this new movie. It's really weird, but I mean, I guess it worked. I mean, for the best it could.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't horrible. Like at first, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be digging this movie, but like once I watched the whole thing through, I was like, you know what, it's not that bad. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. I couldn't find the budget for this movie, like how much it cost to make, but the box office draw was $17,700.
There you go. Yeah, something.
There you
Independent film, so at least it's something. And it played on TV, which is cool. Not a whole lot of independent movies played on like, cable TV and shit. So, but yeah. I mean, I think we're starting off a horror comedy month, pretty fun this month. So. Got a little Spookies going on, not too bad, but join us here next week where the Retro Blood will continue our discussion of comedy 1980 horror movies, where we're going to be almost to the day, not necessarily Saturday the 14th. We'll be doing Sunday the 14th, but we're going to be talking all about Saturday the 14th.
Saturday the 14th.
Ha ha ha. Have you ever seen this one or no?
I think I have, yes.
I never seen it, but I have heard about it, and I know it's definitely one of those goofy Halloween horror movies and shit. So it should be pretty fun.
I think I saw it. I think I saw it like when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
So we'll see how this one goes, everybody. But yeah, join us here next week where we keep this comedy train rolling, and we do have a couple other ones happening this month too, ending on the 28th with a special one, which I usually try to for our special reviews, I usually like to save that, maybe until like a week before to let everybody know what we're doing. But I do put a little bit of a hint in the intro. So if anybody can get the little hint of the special movies I like to put out in the intro. But, the one that we're doing at the end of the month is probably the most famous. Here's another hint. It's probably the most famous, in my eyes at least, it's the most famous horror comedy movie almost of all time. But we'll debate that when we'll debate that when we get there. But everybody, join us next week for Saturday the 14th. And Alison, what kind of Megadeath do you want to play getting on out of here?
Man, let's play In My Darkest Hour.
Let's do it, brother. The tribute song.